Okay, this is section 3.5, part B. For those of you that are having trouble with the absolute value and the greater than, less than, and or. So I went through and I looked at the homework problems on Hawks, and I just picked a couple out to do, and hopefully this will help. So here's the first one I'm looking at, the absolute value of x plus 9 minus 3 is greater than 0. And this is just one, like I said, that I found on Hawks. So what the very first thing you want to do is put the inequality, and they do ask you this on Hawks, in standard form. Okay, so what does that mean? That means I want the absolute value on one side and everything else on the other. So I want the absolute value on one side, this alone. I've got a minus 3. How do I get rid of the minus 3? I do the opposite, I add 3. Okay. So these cancel. And now it's in standard form because the absolute value is here alone, greater than 3. So this is standard form. Now, let's look. We've got a greater than. So when we see an absolute value with a greater than, we know we're going to be using an or. Okay, and we're going to set it up like this. Okay, so we're going to take the x plus 9 out of the absolute value, and we're going to say x plus 9 is greater than 3, or x plus 9 is less than negative 3. So this is whenever I have an absolute value with a greater than. I'm going to set it up with an or. I'm going to set it up two equations. I'm just going to bring this down, take this out of the absolute value. So it's x plus 9 is greater than 3. I'm just going to bring that down. Or keep this the same, and then I'm going to change this to a negative 3, and it's going to be a less than. So I'm going to flip this. Because remember, inside here, inside the absolute value, remember it can be a positive or a negative, but it's always going to come out positive. But we have to show what's going on the inside. So it can be greater than 3 or less than negative 3. And then we're just going to solve this. Okay? So how do I get rid of the 9? I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. Okay, so x can be greater than negative 6. And I'm going to do the same over here. X is less than negative 12. Okay, now when I was doing Hawks, this answer right here, this is your algebraic notation. So algebraic, whenever you have an x whenever you have an x, that's your algebraic notation. So x is greater than -6 or x is less than -12. You put the or in there. That's your algebraic notation. Okay, let's graph it and let's do the interval notation. Okay, so this is the algebraic. So they give you on Hawks a number line. Okay. Okay. And I know I should spread that out a little bit better. So x is greater than -6. I'll put that up here for you. X is greater than -6 or x is less than -12. This is what I want to graph. Okay, and I'm always going to graph on a number line. So what am I going to put on the -6? It just has a simple greater than. It doesn't have a greater than or equal to. So you might want to look back in your notes if you don't remember, but I can tell you that I'm going to put a parenthesis. So when I have a greater than or a less than, use a parenthesis. Greater than -6, I'm going to go all the way down to positive infinity. And you're going to show this on Hawks as well. So that's that part. That's part of it. And then the second half, x is less than -12. So it's not a less than or equal to, it's just a less than. So again, I'm going to go with this half a circle. And it's going this way off to negative infinity. Do we see that? Half a circle because it's just a less than and not a less than or greater, not a less than or equal to, sorry. So here's the graph, and then they also want you to put it in interval notation. Okay, so we're just going to follow from left to right. We're going to go small to big and write it out in interval notation. So I'm going to start over here. I'm starting with negative infinity. And whenever I have an infinity, negative or positive infinity, I use the parenthesis. And then I'm going to go to -12, right? Another parenthesis. And what goes in between? Remember, it's the big U. And then I'm going to come here, parenthesis, -6, comma, go, end with positive infinity. And remember, with infinity, it's always a parenthesis. So here's my interval notation, and here's my graph. Okay, let me stop there. When I come back, I'm going to do a less than with an absolute value. I just did the greater than with an absolute value, and that was, just to refresh, that was the or. Here's your algebraic notation. I'm going to come back and do an absolute value with a less than, and we're going to use the and. So that'll be the next video.